Hey there. Sorry I'm late. I wasn't paying attention to the time fully. I knew I was getting close, but yeah, so here I am. Kenergy, hello, hello, hello. Here we go. Let me put myself over here. Here we go. How you doing today, Kenergy? I had hoped. Um, you know what? I haven't heard from her since the other day. She wanted to talk. Hi, Betty. How are you today, dear? You had a treatment yesterday, didn't you? Um, she wanted to chit chat and sent me an email about chit chatting, and I was like, yeah, sure. At a certain, she sent with a time, and then I haven't heard back from her. So yeah, and so I don't know if whether it took her internet out or what. So yeah, okay. But anyway, yeah, I'm a couple minutes late here because I was putting a pattern together because I think it was Stanley Cup that said that she was interested in doing the snake. And I'll have to go back to my channel real quick. Um, Let me go and look real quick here. I think it was Stanley Cup. Oh no, I'm sorry, it was Shannon. Shannon said that she would like to make the snake. So I wanted to go over that. And sorry, I got to clean my glasses here. I'm gonna make myself bigger on the screen for the moment. You were you had to cancel because oh, you know what? I'm gonna put comments on the screen for right now. Um, okay, so you are getting a chest port. I'm sorry to hear that, Betty. Gotcha. Bone broth. Are you able to get up and do any cooking, or you have somebody doing that for you? You know, everything's missing when you're looking for it. Isn't that the way things work? When you're looking for it, you can't find anything. It's the cat's fault. Blame it on them. They can't answer back, right? Yeah, it's like my what the hell. Yes, get some good beef broth. Chicken soup's good for the soul, but when it comes to bone broth, I do believe that good wholesome beef broth is the best. Can't go wrong with any bone broth, but I personally think that you get the best from the beef broth. Just my opinion. That's just me. Okay, so the surgery on the 11th, that is for the that's to get your port in, right? You wanted me, that was you that wanted me to show you how to make a good bone broth, right? Okay. I still have a ton of broth in my freezer, but I will, let me look at my schedule real quick. I gotta pull up I have my schedule here, but I have my personal schedule on my other browser. Let me, okay. Yeah, okay. So you said your port surgery is on the 11th? I'm putting that on my calendar here. Okay. Okay. I will make every effort to get some bone broth made by Wednesday. How about that? Because I'll have to get the bones out of the freezer and do some prep work, meaning clean up my kitchen presentable enough to go live from my kitchen. So I got shit all over my counters. So yeah, so yeah, I got to prep my kitchen for a live. So there we go with that. So are you going to do any crocheting, Betty? I can't keep everything straight with who's doing what. I really got to start writing shit down. And I know this is not the best time of day for the regulars. I just don't want to get started with anything because I didn't ask, and I'm not sure who all was planning on being here today. So I don't want to wait. And we're not actually crocheting today. Okay. Yes, you are. Okay. Um, we're not really doing any crochet today. Today was, just more to go over some things, get any questions out. Oh, my eyes feel funny today. I didn't put any of my eye drops in. They sting. It's that what's that dry eye stuff they give me. I forget what it's called. It's that common one. So anyway, hello Teresa. Glad you made it. It's only 52 degrees today. It's supposed to go up into 60s. I have a window open, letting some fresh air get in here. Okay. Okay, so it was Shannon who said she wanted to make the snake. Um, the snake pattern I have, and I had put the picture up of the snake pattern. Let me see, I have it down here. This is the picture. I don't like that snake head at all. So I found another snake my yarn is a disaster here right now. I was talking to a friend of mine last night. A friend of mine, we go way back. I mean, we go way, way back. And I hadn't talked to her in a minute. So I was showing her, you know, cracking her up, showing her my hats. And she was showing me all her blankets and stuff. And she's a phenomenal crocheter. And ow, get off me. Oh, Coco, I'm not in a mood for this today. Thank you. And I didn't put everything back where it was, so everything's discombobulated this morning. Anyway, I found another snakehead pattern, and you know what? Let me see if I have a picture here. Yeah, here we go. I'm going to see if I could get this. Okay, this is the snakehead that I put a picture up of. Let me see if I could do a screen share here. Oh, nope, that's not it. And show you this other snakehead. Get off my lap. Get off. I'm not in the mood for cats today. Oh, okay. I got to remove this. Okay. This is the other snakehead. Yeah, you can see I got a lot of stuff on my screen. But I like this snakehead much better. So let me get that off the screen. I really should have looked before I put that up there. Okay, fortunately, there's nothing on there that would have doxed me. Yeah, that could have been bad. Don't do that again. Okay, don't do that again. Yeah, I like that snakehead better. So I did rewrite that up, and I crocheted that head last night. It's a bigger head, and this was done with part of the pattern with a 5mm hook. But the head's bigger, and it's going to take 30 stitches round. The other snake is only this one here is, I believe that pattern is only like 15 stitches round, whereas this one's 30. But you know, it's going to be a you know, it's going to double your stitches round, but that's still I think it's going to be worthwhile because it's a nicer looking head. You know, it just, let me get that. I just think, you know, I had that in there marking my center off. I just think it's a better looking head, you know, and you know, put your tongue on there, whether you use buttons or you put eyes in there, or you know, you crochet your eyes in there, whatever you want to do for your eyes. What do you mean by make it into a circle? The snake? You're gonna be you could, well, you can make this into it. This is going to be Titanoboa, but you're going to be sewing this in the round. So every day you would sew Oh, you once you're done, once you're every day you're adding a row onto this for every day of the week. This gets started here with the magic circle. I think she's talking about Teresa. I think she's talking about I think she's talking about how this coils right here. Every day, every line on here represents a day of the year. So every day. Oh, Betty, as it gets longer, this thing, you're going to be putting 365 rows on here. This is going to get long. That's small right there. This is going to end up getting long. This is going to get real long. So if anybody does the snake, I would suggest you're only doing the daily high temperature or the low temperature or just an average. You're going to do just the average temperature for the day if you're doing the snake. Because if you try to do the high and the low, this is going to be way too big. I think it'll be way too long. You know, unless you want a snake that's going to circle a room, you know, you're only going to do one row a day, and then whatever you use for the head and the tail color, because you could see on here, you know, we've got the head, and then once you finish it up at the end of your year, you'll put on your little tail at the very end. Excuse me. I would also suggest whatever color you use for your head and your tail, at the end of each week, you could add a row or two to signify the end of each week. You know, so that you know that you have a week, you know, your weekly marker. You know, customize it to you. You can do something like that. Your anaconda. Oh, you bad boy. So, but so for anybody that wants to do the snake, let me there is the pattern. Let me get me off the corner there. And you can see here on row 5, I have this 2 single crochet and then another 2 single crochet here in red. I did that because this is the first longest row here. And I was multitasking when I did this whole 46 stitches. And I kept goofing myself up. So that's why this stitch marker is on this one. When you do these first 2 stitches marked in red here, that has you at the halfway point. And then the second 2 single crochets in red, you're beginning the second half. So that's just the way I am. Let me take the comments off the screen for a second for anybody that wants to screenshot that. So, you know, for anybody that, you know, if you're a visual worker or you want to have your project folded in half when you're going through and working your stitches, you'll know you're at the halfway point when you do that first 2 single crochets. So that's the only reason that that's split like that, is so that you know that you're at the halfway point. Does that make sense? Or is that just me being anal retentive with how I process things? Looks like I cut off the rows over here. I did. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna have to get a better picture on that. Let me get a better picture of that. Give me just a second. Yeah, I didn't even realize I did that when I screenshot that. Wow. Okay, my bad. Hold on, I'm redoing this. Okay, bear with me just a second. No, I'm back. Am I still frozen? There we go. Better? Is that picture better for everybody? Okay, so let's see, where were we? Okay, Kennergy's talking about his anaconda, weather wiped out her internet. I always call her Terry. Sometimes Terry Lynn. I think she answers to both. I'm not sure if it's, all one name or not. So, let's see. You need visuals. Okay. Let's see. Kennergy, you love the crochet club. Are you crocheting with us, Kennergy? Or are you just here to snark with us and talk about your anaconda today? No, I wasn't frozen. I was trying to get a better picture there. Okay. Okay. So yeah, now I do have where are they? Okay, I'm moving that picture off now. Now I do have a bag full of eyes, and I could, and these eyes would actually fit. Okay, row 12. Okay, yeah, I can explain row 12. Let me finish this thought right here. Now, these are 18 millimeter, I think. Yeah, these are 18 millimeter eyes. I had these from when I did my dragon. So these eyes would actually fit in here. I wouldn't go out and buy eyes if I didn't, just for this. I just happen to have eyes and they'll fit in here. But yeah, buttons would work. Buttons would work for this. And everybody can find or have a button laying around, or just make. You can make a little button. These buttons on this hat, these are homemade buttons. This is a homemade button. So, don't have to buy a button. It can be all homemade. Okay. Let me put this in the bag here before the cats get to it. Okay, row 12. What is let me add it back up here. What is the question about row 12? Okay, row 12 is a total of 36 stitches. You start off with 6 single crochets. Then you do 2 increases. So 6 single crochets. The next stitch, you'll do an increase. So 2 stitches into one. And then the next stitch, you'll do another increase, 2 stitches into one. So you'll end up 6 single crochets. Then in the next 2 stitches, you'll end up with 4 more single crochets. Then 5 single crochets. Then you'll do 1 increase. So that's adding 2 more stitches. Then you'll do 2 single crochets, 1 more increase, 5 single crochets, 2 more increases, which will give you 4 stitches in those 2 stitches that you're using. And then you're adding 6 more single crochets. So you have a total of 2, 3, 4, 5. You have a total of 6 increases. So you're adding 6 more stitches into that row. Yes, that's exactly what that means. Yes. This actually looks better than the way it was written in the pattern. The pattern just had it written out. It was like it had 6 SC dash 2 increase dash 5 SC dash 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 dash, and it's like, that just did not work for my brain that way. It was all clusterfucked for my brain that way. Look at this, Teresa. Yep. And that is just the simple bobble stitch. Okay, so now that for anybody that wants to do the snake, that was the pattern for the snake head. And then after that, it's just single crochet. I would not do anything more than a single crochet, because 365 rows of single crochet, it's already going to be long. Yes, yes. But the thing is it's you're going to end up with a lot of cleaning up in the back. Because I did that with when I, you know what, I will come back and ask me that question before we're done today, and I'll explain the issue with doing that. Okay, now I do not intend to make the snake for my temperature project. So I'm thinking I want to make like a 4-inch granny square. And I'm thinking I might want to do it with the mitered square. Now, hello, Miss Tabitha. Today we're talking right now. We're talking about the temperature blanket, but I do have a pattern for a roach coaster. So yeah, we could plan a time to do that. Happy to please on that front. Okay, now this would be one of the mitered squares. This is the way that I did mine though. And I did mine because I'm going to use it as a washcloth. And you saw what happens with my washcloths, Teresa. You saw mine. They're still in a bag, and they've sat there in a bag forever because I end up not using them and just collecting them. But this is the version this is the one that I did so that we would have it as an example. I wonder if I can. No. Oh, there we go. I just did this as an example for, and this is, I did 2 rows of each color, and I did mine in the back loop only so that you could see there's texture on this. You see how it's ribbed? So even doing this, you still have some, you could still customize it by giving it texture. You know, if you go through the entire front and back loop, you can make it so it lays flat. So you don't have to give it texture. You can make it so it lays flat. Hold on, I'm frogging up again. That's a great question. And that's something else I was getting ready to go into. And this is part of where you customize it, Teresa. And I'll show you on another one of the squares. Okay, this is more of a granny square style. And again, you can make each one of these as large or as small as you want. And the only constraints you have is how big you want to make this, you know, how big and bold you want to make this, I should say. This one, I'm just using scrap yarn, so don't use my colors as a guide on here. But on this one, for example, the inside color could be your average or your daily low temperature. The next row could be the high temperature for the day. And then you could do an outside row that could be, say, if there any precipitation for the day, you know, or whether it was sunny, cloudy, rainy, you know, the main whatever for the day, you know, cloudy, rainy, thunder, hailing, sleet. You know, some people do that. So, any type of granny stitch, but the thing is, you just want to make sure that, or any type of, granny square or square, you just want to make sure that all of your squares are the same size. Again, this is so customizable to what meets your personality. And then the other thing is, you just want to make sure that you keep your colors you know consistent for each temperature throughout the year. um you don't have to get all of your colors now, because like in your area, your July and August temperatures, you're probably not going to hit those. You might get, well, weather gets weird, so you might get a July temperature in May, but probably not too much. So you don't need to get all of your colors right away. Did that make sense how I just said that? I wouldn't need to get all my August yarns right away. So I don't, I tend to buy everything all at once, but not always. But with this Red Heart yarn chart, and Red Heart's the easiest to get for everybody, and it's the most economical, and I use it the most. When I was talking to my friend last night, she uses Hobby Lobby. I refuse to go into Hobby Lobby because I don't believe in the principles that the founding owner of Hobby Lobby follows. That's why I refuse to go into Hobby Lobby. It's a principle thing. But so this wouldn't have worked for her, this chart. But you know, this works for me. So if I was going by the same color chart, I could put together my colors there. You just got to make sure all the yarns are available, because some of the yarns are hard to come by at a certain point in time. So that is something to keep in mind. So I think uh I think it was either the thyme or the sage is getting hard to get. What it's one of the greens, and I think one of the oranges is hard to find already. But that might just be this month. They might have it might already be back in stock. So you know but that is something to keep in mind. So yeah, you don't have to get all the yarn all at one time. So but yeah, so whether what if you do if you're doing this, if you're going to do squares, you know you could do high temperature and low temperature, and you could put precipitation and stuff in there if you want to. And then if you're just doing like a high and a low, when you sew them together, you could sew them together as you're doing a border color, if you want to do a border color on it. And that's what I did on here. When I put the border color, I as I crocheted the border on here, I crocheted them together. And this one would go corner to corner. So this would be, say, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and then I'd put Wednesday, Thursday, Friday in here. So my plan would be, let me see if I can find, there we go. So my plan would be, once everybody gets started, is, I don't know, we would meet up once a week. This is the thought, and we'd have a sit down sesh. Welcome back, Betty. We'd have a sit down sesh where we'd just sit here, and we'd we'd have our table talk, where we're all just sitting here and shooting the shit, so to speak, as we're putting our weekly blocks together, adding them to our crochet. But or if we don't have our blocks done, we would get our blocks done and caught up. But ideally for me, I'll get my block done and I'll add it on to a pin because I have pins, so there's Sundays, then I'll get Mondays done, add it on, and Tuesday, so forth and so on. So, I know that when we come in here, because I'm supposed to be well organized and I'm going to set a good example. You caught that eye roll, right? So when we get in here and we sit down and I'm getting ready, okay, I'm just going to pull everything off, turn it around, and it's like, okay, I got to add this day on. So, I can pull it off and start adding it in, as I go, and for whatever reason, if I'm behind, I know it's on my pin, and it's not going to get lost. It's on my pin, I'm good to go. I'm set. And, that's my story. That's my plan. And I'm sticking to it. So, and, I'm still not 100% set on exactly what I am doing. I really, really, really do like, let me get that off the screen. I really do like that idea there, something along that line, which is similar to, what I made right there. So there's another example of how somebody did the granny squares. They have the high low, and I don't know if this was a temperature thing or another pattern, but just an example of I saw, and I'm like, yeah, that would work. As doing a high low where half of the square is a high temp, the other half is a low temp. You could add, the blue they're using in there could be the a temperature if you wanted to add temperature in there. You know, hell, you could really, really go out on how you do this. If you heard me in the chat the other day, I saw, and I didn't pull up a photo of this. I don't think I took any photos. You know what? Let me look in my folder here real quick and double check. Yeah, I did not take any or scope any pictures for this. When I was getting some information on this, I saw somebody talking about doing this as a mood blanket. Because everybody has a mood every day, whether you're feeling glum, happy, sad, everybody has a different level for their mental health on it every day, or if you live with chronic pain, you have a different you have your pain, in the hospital, you have your 1 to 10 pain scale, I mean, you can really, there's so much you can do with this idea. You could add a center block on these blocks for, what's my pain level today, or what's my mood today, and add that into your temperature chart. I mean, there's just so many ways you could customize this. I mean, I'm sitting there looking, I'm like, oh my God, it's blown my mind up, because my head's just racing in 50 bazillion different ways on how much it's like, how much do I really want to complicate this for me? But I need to throw all these other ideas out there for the rest of the ladies too. Not that I'm trying to complicate it for you, but just to let you know, if the weather's not really your thing, there's other options, so that you could join in on this party too. That the weather bug is not for everybody, but hey, you know, there's other things you could, if you get in there and crochet, there's other things you could document, and how fun is that? I told my my occupational therapist, she crochets and she does do a little bit of crochet with some of her other patients, and obviously she doesn't tell me who the other patients are, but we talk about different things, and I've helped her with some other projects and stuff. And yeah, I even helped stock their kitchen with some of my gadgets and gizmos that I have duplicates of. I figured I'd say that before somebody asked. But I told her about the project that we're doing here, and she had not heard of a temperature blanket. So I was explaining that to her, and then I mentioned, the mood blanket, and she's like, "I've never heard of that. That would be cool." And I was like, "Yeah," and for some of the different groups that you do. And she's like, "Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking." And see, I met her. That's how I first met her before she officially became my OT. I met her in one of the PTSD groups I was in, where she had a segment in it. So that's how I met her. But yeah, in fact, the first group she walked in, I was sitting there crocheting away. So, but anyway, yeah. So yeah, there I go. More than you wanted to know, huh? But what? So, but what? What? Don't put your paw on me. No, I don't want you up here right now. You're annoying. You're being annoying. Stay down there. Um, so yeah, okay. So let me add this up here for you. Nobody listens to me in this house. Nobody listens to me. Oh, and you see, I did have to go and get myself another mega bin, and it's in the living room. I got to bring it in here because don't back talk me. Um, I've had yarn coming in. Um, do you think my hand is up here because I'm petting you? Get your butt out of my face. Um, and I've got a ton of yarn that's coming in. It's here, it's stacked here, and I've got some stacked here, and I got a big bin. And this is yarn for the project and other projects. And so it's all over the place right now. But I got to get it off of that because if y'all saw on the happy Valentine's Day post, you saw I mentioned that E word. So I got to get the treadmill cleaned off so that we could start that E thing. Nobody's talking, so I don't know if anybody's here listening or not. But anyway, let me get this up here for you, Teresa, and for anybody else. We'll make that big. There you go. So in fact, I'm just going to take me off the screen and leave that there like that. Is that big enough for everybody to see? Okay. Can you see that clearly, Teresa? Or do I need to make it and try to make it bigger? Now that chart right there is just a basic idea. Okay, good, thank you. you know, 5, 15, and 25 color chart, you know, you ladies are the queen of your color scheme. You do not have to Roy G. Biv it. Um, I'm thinking of, I might do mine in all shades of green, because they have Red Heart has a pretty big palette of greens going into blues. You know, I may do mine in all you know, greens and blues. No, I don't know. I haven't 100% decided yet. You know, because green and like green and sea green and going into a turquoise is like my favorite color. So, you know, I don't know. You know, or maybe for all the low temps, I'll just use greens, and you know, for the daily lows, and then for the daily highs, I'll use, you know, the opposite end of the opposite side of the house. You know, I don't know. Or maybe I'll just go with pastels, or I'll stick with vivids. I don't know. I haven't 100% decided yet. So see how much you can customize this. Yeah, or maybe I'll just stick with jewel tones, because I love jewel tones. Jewel tones look good on a redhead, you know, and ultimately this blanket's going to be on me, so it's got to look good wrapped on me, right? I got to make it look good. So, you know, why not increase the odds of me making it look good by making it colors that look good on me, right? See how I framed that? So, you know, I love neons, but neons don't love me. The skin tone and freckles thing. But so, but yeah, so I mean there's just so much you can do to individually customize. You know, I'm still dumbfounded that I've never heard of a temperature blanket until, you know, somewhat recent. Absolutely dumbfounded. Absolutely dumbfounded. So let's see, what else? I know there was something else that I meant to mention about this. Um, oh, did you ladies have any questions on this? Miss Tabitha, you disappeared. There's a simple example of how to chart your yarn. Oh, I do have, um, let me see if I can, I don't know if it'll, yeah, it's not going to let me bring it up here. Yeah, it's not going to let me bring it up. Yeah, you know, when that one multi-pack, I did not even I had not even thought of or seen the temperature snake yet with that multi-pack with all the colors in it. That's completely coincidental that you at least had something enough to at least get started. So that was completely coincidental. So yeah. Okay, Betty. But I have a I got it off of Etsy because it's easy enough to make a temperature chart. Well, actually, you know what? Duh. And here we go. There's the printout of it. You can put your information and then your slots there. And then on the other side, write out what your temperatures are. So I love Wonderground for weather. Wonderground.com. That's where I go to for hurricane information and stuff and big stuff. And also weather.com. And both of them were wildly different. And I thought both of them were extremely inaccurate on my January weather. And yeah, I thought they were both inaccurate. And so I went to uh, AccuWeather, and I'm like, okay, this is the most accurate. I even went to my local news channel, and their weather was the same thing. They had the same thing listed that weather.com did. And I'm like, I know this is not right because it was saying I had 60-degree weather when I know we were in the negatives. Yeah, you go if AccuWeather.com was what for me, I found to be the most accurate. The best bet though would be to record your temperatures every day, is to go and get a weather temp every day. That'll be the most accurate wherever you go. But if you have to go back and get historical temperatures, for last month, AccuWeather. Well, let me double check that address. Let me pull it up here. Yeah, AccuWeather, AccuWeather.com, and they'll give you the high and the low. And you just go in there, you put your zip code in, and then you put in there uh, you click on the toggle for monthly, and then you down arrow for which month you want, month and year, and you can go back. I didn't go back to see how far back or how far I can go back in history or anything like that, as far as years, because I only needed last month and this month. But yeah, so but I would say the best bet is to just write down, record, whether you do it on on keep track of it on an app in your phone or whatnot. But I still like to write things down because computers fail. And if your internet goes down or your phone stops working because technology fails, but the good old pen and paper does not. And it's easy enough to, the dollar store, the $1.50 store now, they have little notebooks, and I got one. It's out in my truck. And I knew there was something else I forgot to bring in. I got a little, calendar that I was going to write down and bring it in here just for this, but write down the quick little weather things in there. And you could also write in there your crochet project, just make it my quick little crochet bujo, because I am going to start talking crochet bujo with you guys too, because I am a big fan of bullet journaling. I'm just not trying to overwhelm everybody all at once. So, but yeah, I do think it's important that where you put your project, and that's what I liked about this is it reminds you to write down your stitch, what size you plan on. I don't know what size these are going to turn out as all the way, but the yarn you're using, what you're making, it reminds you to write down what you're doing. And it's a good reminder, because just like I had told you the other day when I showed you this project that I pulled up from downstairs, and I'm still connected. So whatever it is, I'm still working on it. And I have no idea what I was making with this or what I was doing with it. I have no idea what I was doing. So, and because I did a chain across the top here, and it doesn't look like it's a foundation for another row. It looks like I was finishing something off here, like I was going to do something different. But like I said, I'm still connected. Take care, Betty. Thanks for being here. I don't know what I was planning on doing with this, but had I written it down somewhere, and, had I written it down, like say on that piece of paper or any piece of paper, and tossed it in here, tossed it in here with this, and then tossed it in that bin. When I came back, that's been in there for a long time. That's been in there, probably 2-3 years, easy. I'd know what that was, and I'd be able to just pick up where I left off. But now, and I know I still have a couple skeins of that yarn downstairs, so it's like, okay, well, I got that, no idea what I was going to make with it. So what should I do with it now? What am I going to do with it? It's too pretty not to do something with it. That really is pretty, right? It's a beautiful stitch. That's the crocodile stitch. That's way too much work to not do something with it now. That's way too much work in that stitch. That's way too much work involved. So anyway, there is this, let me see if I can find it. Let me head over to Amazon. What do you want to do over on Amazon? What should we do over on Amazon, huh? Think we can get in some mischief over on Amazon? I don't know. Can we get in trouble on Amazon? Okay. Um, well, it doesn't have many good pictures. Okay. Um, where are you at? Which page you at? I thought that was the actual temperatures. Are you looking at something different than me? I got the I have the calendar open. I have the whole monthly calendar open. I have the whole monthly calendar open, and it's showing the high and low. Let me get over there and look. Well, how do you know that that's not actuals? Yeah, how do you know that that's not the actuals though? Well, yeah, but how do you know that that's not the actual high temperature that day and the actual low temperature for that day? Because every day has an actual high and an actual low. So how do you know that that's not the actual high and actual low for that day? Okay. 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 So I was I forget what I was getting over on eBay, but I was over there and I ended up getting the Granny Square card deck. Have you ever heard of it? What am I right about? I scrolled away. Okay, you have heard of it. Okay. Yeah, they have it over on Amazon. I got it on eBay. Like pennies on the dollar. I got it cheap. Oh, I know what I was over on eBay looking for. I was looking for uh light up LED knitting needles. Oh, okay. I am right about some things. I haven't completely lost it yet. But yeah, I was looking for LED knitting needles, and that came up in the feed somewhere, and I'm like, since we're talking about doing some different granny squares, I looked at the price of it on, buying that brand new, and the one that was on eBay was uh listed as being new, and the price was ridiculously cheap. I'm like, you know what, this could be fun, doing a little granny square side project for something. It could be a little fun, little fun thing. So I got it. So it should be here. It should be here anytime. So yeah, whenever it'll get here when it gets here. But yeah. So but yeah. So anyway, but anywho, um you got to see the finished dragon the other day, didn't you? The dragon scarf? Well, then I shall show it again. Twist my arm, have me show off one of my projects again. Hey, I'm rather proud of this project. I think it's pretty. Get your ear hairs out of there. Hey, Rosie Posey. Rosie Posey Schmidt and Kitten. Yes, I know. But anyway. So yeah, what I want to do to it is I'm gonna add um a band or something underneath here so that down please. So that you tuck this in and that'll hold it there. Seriously? Seriously? No, you don't get to grab that. No. So yeah, so that'll hold it in place so it's not, so you don't have to, so the head's not weaponized, you know. Or actually, you know what? Put a weight in here and you could use this as, you know, you don't need you won't need a monkey ball. Put a weight in here, boom, you got a weapon. Yes, weaponize. Yes, we could weaponize the dragon. Or, yeah, you know what? Put a weight in here. You know, put a couple ball bearings in here. Boom. Granny don't need a gun. So, you know, how's that Aerosmith song go? Granny, get your gun. Oh, that's Annie. Yeah, okay. Well, you know, yes. See, grannies know how to weaponize everything. There you go. There you go. Okay. And then uh I want to I made this part here, the bottom part here is a little bit wider than the rest of it because I was making it wide and then I'm like, wait a second, this is going to be doing a double wrap around the neck, and because of how much yarn, you're going to this will make you sweat. So I thinned it out. I'll show you when I unwrap it. But what I want to do is I want to put a pocket in here, just on the fatter part here. Uh, crochet a cover for this, for a pocket, and then I'm gonna make some sort of dragon dragon scale hat, or a crocodile scale hat. Just a simple hat, and probably just some wristlets or mittens or something. And then when you're not wearing them, they can fit right into that pocket. Just a simple pocket, you know. And then hey, maybe a couple of ball bearings on this end too. You know, this way you could whack, 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 whack. Yeah. See, hey, try to tuck it under where you wrapped it around your neck. Oh, you mean like right here? Yeah, but that still leaves this out. So, and then you end up with too many wraps. So, do you mind? So, I don't know. Plus, if it has that little, well, I don't know if it's a, you know, you still have the option of doing that tuck if you want, but also with the band, with the band here, um, you could use that as a hanger. So if you know, if you're the type that hangs up your scarves, some people do. That'll be like a hanger hook. So you could just hang that on the hook, or you know, this is so long, you know, but you know, you could hang that by the hanger, put that over like the uh over the hook of the hanger, and then this way it won't fall off. You know, that little hanger thing could go over the hook of the hanger, and then this bottom part, you know, over the rest of the hanger. But anyway, you can see right here, you can see where I narrow it. This is where it starts to narrow. Yeah, right about there. Yeah, right there is where it narrows. That's when I realized, I'm like, you know, I was eating a lot of yarn. And then it's like, this is going to be real thick when it goes around the neck anyway, you know, with the amount of yarn. Let me thin it out. So, you know, this will be where it starts wrapping around the neck. So that'll be where it thins. So, but anyway, really. So what's interesting is this stripy yarn that I used for this is hold on, I'm putting this back before the kitten gets to it. The yarn I used for that is Red Heart Super Saver Zebra. You know, so it's just, you know, a regular Red Heart zebra yarn. No big deal, nothing special about it. And it's the same type of yarn as the other yarn that I did the crocodile stitch on. But look how much more it popped on the other pattern. You know, it's just imagine how much that dragon would have popped if I used a different color, used a different yarn. Okay. This is the pattern that comes with this one. Just a square throw. No big deal. Put that in there. Oh man. So yeah, you haven't heard from Terry at all, have you? Will you get off me? I need to make some scrubbies too. And I brought up some scrubby yarn. Have you ever made scrubby? Was I giving plumber's crack? Sorry. I have this kind, which is it looks like the plastic tooling. It looks like that tooling, but it's a chain. It's plasticky. It feels like that plastic. It feels like the plastic scrubbies. Oh, what do you know? It's my missing crochet hook. I forgot where I had put it. It's the light up one that goes in my other kit. Okay. I hate when I misplace things. And then this is the ooh, okay. Hold on. This was a Walmart delivery and it has my name on it. That would not have been good. Hold on. Trying to get this off. And it's too late for me to complain about this because these idiots. And they put this on each packet of this. So, you know, that's what I just looked to see if it was on each packet. You think they would have grabbed these and put it into a bag? No, they had to put the sticker on each individual one. So yeah, I can't even see, what the label on it says. Fucking morons. Hold on, I'm getting there. I'm getting there. I will answer that question as soon as I can look again. I'm tunnel visioned on this right now. Okay. Okay. The second one is Red Heart Scrubby. And this says use a 5.5 millimeter hook. Oh, my cuticles look terrible. I don't know. It looks like it's out of focus. Well, this is on the second yarn, but here you could see. So let's see. Here it is on this is a 5mm hook. Oh, here's 5.5. So, but anyway, so yeah, this is Red Heart Scrubby, and this is a fabric. This is a fabric. I like this one, but it's because of the way it is. It's almost like an eyelash. I mean, you can see that, and it's difficult to see the stitches. Whereas this, oh yeah, this one says a 5mm hook also. So, but there you go. And this and this is chained, but I don't know why it's out of focus. It's either out of focus or it's me seeing it out of focus. I can't tell which one it is. But you know, it's about it's like fishing line that's chained. So if you could get um if you got a good deal on um the netting, I'm blanking on what it's called. You know, the net, the mesh. What's that shit called? This getting old shit sucks because you lose your words. You know the netting tooling, not quite tool, but the net stuff. use it for arts and crafts, make stuff out of it. It's in the fabric department. But anyway, you know, get a yard of that and you can cut it up into 1-inch strips or 1/2-inch strips. And I am positive that somewhere on YouTube there's got to be a tutorial for doing that before they started coming out and making all this different scrubby stuff. I have no doubt that somewhere there's got to be that somebody. I can't be the first person to think of that, but somewhere there's got to be somebody doing DIY scrubbies. So I never did it, but somebody has to have come up with doing that. In fact, you know what? I'll look it up right now because I can't be the only. I can't. I mean, I'm pretty damn creative, but I can't be the only one to have thought of that. Tulle, that's what it's called. Oh yeah, and you know what? They even sell tulle where it's on rolls. See, when you buy scrubbies or when you buy it in rolls, it's more expensive. But when you buy it the big things, it's cheaper. So let's see. Okay. That's because I was looking at something here. We're gonna we're going to watch a video. There we go. Yeah, we're gonna watch a video on how to do this. Can you see the screen okay?
Exactly like how it comes off the bolt at the store. And I just took the folded edge and I tapped everything straight. And I put my long ruler on the top. Line it up on my board, and using that folded edge, I cut off 1.5 inches. Since it's folded, when I only cut 1.5 inches, and then when it is opened, it will be one scrubby that is 3 inches wide. So I set that aside. So next I cut 3 inches.
Okay, I wouldn't have guessed 3 inches, but okay.
And I just roll that right up. So this 3-inch cut right here is 4 strips, so it equals 2 scrubbies. So I've got 2 scrubbies ready to go right there. and I'm just cutting it across at 3-inch intervals and rolling them up as I go.
Okay,
And I
okay,
usually have some waste at the open end. Fast, I can get a whole.
okay. Really, seriously?
Hi, in the previous tutorial where I showed you how to make the round dish scrubbies, I showed you how I made it with spool, and we used the whole width of the 6-inch tool spool here that I got at Walmart. And sometimes you do want to have 3-inch strips, so then if you do, you would just cut it in half. If you wanted to work with 2-inch strips, then you would just cut it into 3 sections. So let me go ahead and show you how I do that, because when you cut tool, you kind of want to wind it up as you go. So what I do is I get this little black basket. They come in different colors too. I just happen to have a set of black. The plastic, you can get them at the dollar store, Dollar Tree, Walmart. I got mine at the dollar store, and they do have them in white as well. But this is the one that I had picked up a whole set of. And I find them very handy because they fit perfect. The spool of tool fits right in there. And then you just set up like that. And then that way you can cut your tool as you go along. So what I do is, since I want 3-inch strips, that's exactly 1/2 of that. And it doesn't have to be exact. You just eyeball it. You don't have to measure it, because we're going to crochet with it. So it doesn't have to be exact. So now as you go along, you want to wind up the ends. And what I do is I use a binder clip to do that. Works perfect. This is a medium-sized binder clip. A small one would work.
Okay. Wouldn't it be easier to bust off the end of the spool and just pull it off and cut the whole thing in half? I'm just spitballing here. You want to crochet a round one or a heart-shaped one?
In this tutorial, I am going to show you how to make a round dish scrubby. I'm going to show you how to make this using tulle. Tulle is often used for decorations. You'll see it often used in weddings when they decorate with it. And believe it or not, it is also great for scrubbing your dishes. So let's go ahead and get started. I will show you what you will need to make this dish scrubby today. You will need a crochet hook and some tulle. Now, I made this one in pink, but we're going to go ahead and create one today in yellow in the same pattern as the pink one. And this tulle, I purchased it at my local Walmart. You can buy tulle in a bolt in a fabric store and have it cut by the yard, but then you'll have to cut all the strips and then connect them together. Now this comes on the spool, and I really like to use this because it is 6 inches long, and some people like to cut their strips into 2 or 3 inches. So if you want, you can cut it right in half. You don't even really have to measure, just kind of cut it in half. I actually created this scrubby without cutting it. I used the whole width of it, which makes a nice, sturdy, thick scrubby. It's not too thick, it's just right. So I think this is real convenient because you don't even have to cut anything. It's ready to go and start crocheting. You just have to open the package. So I'm going to go ahead and open the package here. I'll go ahead and pause the video while I do that, and I'll be right back. Now that I have my tulle open, the package, the outer package has been taken off, I'm ready to begin crocheting my round dish scrubby. So what I like to do is I have this little black plastic basket. You can get these at the dollar store, Dollar Tree, even Walmart has these. They come in like a 3 or 4 pack. It's usually just $1 for 3 or 4. It's just perfect to hold 10, 2. And like I said, I'm not even going to cut it. I'm going to use the whole width of the 6 inches. So how easy is that? No cutting, just ready to go and start crocheting the scrubbies, and they come out just perfectly. So what we're going to do is we are going to start with a slip knot. And you want to make sure that you leave a good sized tail on it. You don't want to make it too small because we want to be able to weave that in, because we want to make sure that it doesn't unravel after we're done. Now, I've chosen to use the size J or 10. It's a 6mm crochet hook. And what we want to do is we want to start off with a chain 5. So we're going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to join that with a slip stitch to the first chain that we created to form a ring. Okay, so there's the ring that we just formed. So now what we're going to do is for round 1, we're going to chain 1, and we're going to do 12 single crochets into the center of our ring, our circle. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, I need 2 more, 11, and 12. So I'm going to count my stitches to make sure I have 12 before I begin round 2. Perfect, there's my 12 stitches. So now I'm going to join that with a slip stitch, and that's round 1. So now we're going to move on to round 2. So for round 2, we're going to chain 1, and we're going to do a half double crochet right into that same stitch there. And if you want, you can work your work into along with it, that way you don't have to weave it in. So I'm going to go ahead and start doing that. I should have done that on the first one. I normally do. I left it out. So we're going to go ahead and work it in now because this is going to be the front side. Okay, so it's okay to still weave it in because we won't see it. So I'm going to go ahead and do a half double crochet here. And I'm going to do a half double crochet in every single stitch around. So when we're done with this round, we will have 12 half double crochets. Okay, so one half double crochet in every single stitch, and I'm working that tail in so I won't have to weave it in later. Okay, so I keep
That's a big ass
double
tail.
crochet. Now this is tulle, which is not as rough as like some hot scrubbers. So you can use this like on things that, I wouldn't use it on your nylon pans, your one for the coating, because you don't want that lining to scratch in any way. But I've used this on regular dishes, like plates and things like this, like that, and it's been just fine. It hasn't ruined anything. I wouldn't use it on your china, but your everyday dishes, it's just fine. Now, if you want a heavy duty scrubber, then you would use, instead of using tulle, you would actually buy the nylon netting at the fabric stores. They have a nylon netting, which is it's rougher than tulle. And that, you can just follow the same pattern if you want to make that. So now you want to make sure that you have 12 half double crochets. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
Okay, yeah,
9,
the
10, 11,
nylon
12.
netting is the other one.
So now you're going to connect that with a slip stitch. And the reason why you want to count, because that first one that you always begin when you do the chain 1, sometimes that looks like a stitch, and that's why you want to count. You could always put a stitch marker, and then you would know as well. So that is going to be connected with a slip stitch to the top of that first half double crochet. And see, netting is a little tricky to work with. Well, the tulle, I mean.
See, she's curling because she didn't do any
slip stitch. There we go. And that completes round 2. So now what you want to do is you want to chain 2, and then we're going to do a double crochet into the same stitch. Okay, and then we are going to do 2 double crochets into the next stitch. Do that again. All right. That's the second double crochet into the same stitch. So essentially we're doing 2 double crochets in every stitch around. This one, it was a chain 3 and then a double crochet, but that counts as our first double crochet. So 2 double crochets in every stitch around. Now you could make both sides the same color. If you wanted to have one that looked like, there's all one color, you could make each side a different color. So you could have like this side yellow and then make another one in a different color. If you wanted to have, reversible sides, different colors. I am going to do both sides in yellow on this one. But I have made them with a different color on each side, and they're really cute. And then you can also do, like 2 different colors. And then when we connect this, we're going to be connecting it with a slip stitch, the 2 pieces together. When you connect them, you can use a third color. So it's just up to you. I've done that too. And I can show you those in future tutorials. We'll do one like that.
How old is this video?
Okay, so 2 double crochets. So when we're done with this round, we're going to have 24 double crochets.
Have you seen enough, Teresa?
Do we do that one? So as you can see, even though it's 6 inches wide, you definitely can still work with it. You don't have to cut your strips. And I like it because then it's nice and it's just a perfect size. It makes it like a size medium. If you prefer a thinner one, then definitely you can cut them in half. And I can actually show you that in another tutorial. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I cut this in half. And because when you're cutting it, you want to make sure that you kind of wind it as you go. And I'll show you how to do that in another tutorial. As a matter of fact, I think I'll show you that in the next one. So now what you want to do is you can kind of see where they're curling up a little bit. That's going to be the side on the outside. Okay, not in other words, you don't want to see how they kind of look like they're curving upward. That's the outside. Okay, so you're going to put those together like that, and you want to go ahead and put your hook back in, and then you're going to find the coordinating stitch behind it and put those tails like in here. There we go. And then go ahead and join it with a slip stitch. Push it right through to the other one, and you're going to do a slip stitch, and then you're going to find the next stitch and the coordinating stitch behind it, right there. You can join it with a back side, so you're not going to see it. And tie them a few times, so that way they don't unravel on you. Because you want these to last a while. Because like I said, these are great because they're machine washable, so they can use them over and over again. Basically, you can use them until they fall apart. A few months, definitely. So then I'm going to cut it, the tail a little bit, but I'm not going to cut it all the way around. These and put them in. So I'm sure you can get, make them in your favorite colors, or because I actually do that loop to fasten off. Just weave it back and forth a little bit, but I don't want, I don't weave it through both of them. I just put it through the one side. There we go. With how far you wove it in there.
Okay, this is 8 years old. Okay. That one's 8 years old. Now, excuse me. My scrubby using that the Red Heart yarn. The one in my kitchen right now, it's finally starting to fall apart, and I just keep pulling the strands that break. I just keep pulling them through and tying them off. I've had it probably for about 5 or 6 years. 5 or 6 years. And every once in a while, something breaks and unravels, and I just pull through and tie it. So yeah, it's all misshapen and everything, but it's still going strong. They last a long time. It does last a long time. So for what that's worth. So, and it was not pretty though, because it's really hard with the first time I used it, it was hard to see the stitches and stuff. And you saw I had the lighted crochet. I was using it. I was having trouble seeing stitches, and I was using a brown. Coincidentally enough, this might be one of them. Oh yeah, here's one of them. Yeah, here's one of them. So yeah, I think I got 2 of these from one of the packages, but this is the other one. So, but yeah, you cannot see the stitches in here. You cannot see stitches in here. And sewed it, and then pulled the ends together so that it holds it in there. But yeah, you cannot see your stitches in there. So I can't tell you what stitch I used or whatever, because this has been around forever, and it was just in the bag here with all the rest of my washcloths. Remember I showed you all the washcloths? And yeah, it was just in the bag here with it. So entirely coincidence that happened to be there. So anywho, yeah. So how are your have you been using your new Nook hooks? How are they working out for you? Awesome. I figured out how to have myself nook hooks in every size. Sorry, Coco. My Tunisian hooks. These are my interchangeables here. Selfie's going live in a little bit here. Well, hold on a second. I'm going to show you what I'm doing here. And of course, it's not working for me right now. Okay, there we go. Okay, so my interchangeables. What I'm going to do is I'm going to sacrifice one of my wires and cut the wire, and then I'll sand it down. And then I'll just have this little stopper on here. But this little stopper has a hole in it. And then I could feed the yarn through there. And then that little piece right there, I can exchange that through on all of the hooks. You know, because you know, this way, because I don't want to sit there and be unscrewing this every time, you know, and pull through and then, you know, leave the yarn on, because that's a pain in the ass screwing this off and on, you know, for like every row. You know, I don't want to be screwing this off and on to, you know, to pull through every row. But for, you know, whatever hook I want to use, you know, when I go ahead and start nooking, I'll have that one piece that I'll just put on whichever size, whichever size hook I want to use, since the nook hooks are only sold in those 3 sizes. Unless you're in the UK, I think the UK has a couple other sizes that are available, but only for the UK buyers. So, and yeah, I think I have a I think I have one in here that's real short. Or not. But yeah, I'll sacrifice I'll sacrifice one of the ends here. I thought that was a good idea. I have those good ideas once in a while. Ooh. So do you think there's anything I missed going over on the hi Nutter, on the temperature blanket project, or on the temperature project, since not everybody's going to do a blanket? Hi baby, you gonna say hello? Look at the camera. Hey, over here. Look pretty. Look pretty. Say hello. You gonna meow for the camera? Say hello. Look at the camera and say hello. I do need to get busy on reviews. I have heard everybody's when they're talking about tension being an issue. And even when I was at the dentist's office, I walked in, it was freezing, so I had my hat on. And anytime I wear this hat, and even more so when I have the matching cowl on, which you can see is right back there. So many people stop me to talk about this and ask. Everybody loves this pattern. Of course, the colors get attention too. I get so much attention from this. Goes my voice. But one of the dentists was telling me, I just started crocheting last night. My wife's trying to teach me, but my hands got all cramped up. You know, and he's having problems with tension. And a lot of people, a lot of the hookers here, problems with tension. Everybody has problems with tension. And even seasoned crocheters have problems with tension. So even I occasionally have issues with tension, you know. Sometimes your hands are dry or you're using a really slick yarn, you know. Karen's Soft, that yarn, when I love it sometimes, but that is the bane of my existence when I use it, because it's so slippy. That's a Pittsburgh word, slippy. It's hard to hold it because of, you know, it just slips through your fingers, you know. So tension's an issue. So, you know, in here that's one of those ring things that sometimes will pretend to help with tension. Not really. I've got and I just realized my ring is missing. Shit. Okay. I've got dozens of different rings for helping with tension that sometimes they seem to help. Sometimes I think it's up here they help more than anything else, you know, but you know, I have the ones that just look like a spring. They're somewhere around here. But I haven't used it yet because I want to use it when I do the review, but I picked up this thing. I'm not even sure how it's supposed to get held. I sure hope I didn't pick up the wrong one. Oh, no, I think I got the wrong. Oh, no, there it goes. Yeah, so this is supposed to be a tension guide. I've had these sitting here. It's supposed to be a tension guide for when you're crocheting. You know, these have been sitting on my desk for a couple weeks now. I don't want to use them until I'm ready to do a review on them. So, but that's one. And this is the other one. This is another yarn guide holder, doohickey thingamabob, jiggermabob, to help with tension. So, you know, and I got the, like I said, I got all these because you know, consistently, that's something that consistently here, you know, everybody, not everybody, but a lot of people, you know, in the mentions there is tension, 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 you know, so it's like, okay, let me find, and I like gadgets and gizmos, so I'm like, okay, let me find some other gadgets and gizmos and do a review on them, because that's one of the biggest issues. I already had all these different rings. I had that other one in that bag. The spring one, I have that somewhere. I know I got something else for tension somewhere, but figured do some reviews on that. I'll try it out so you don't have to, if it's no good, or if it works. Is it worth anybody buying it? I forget what I paid for them, but when I go to review it, obviously I'll have the price up there on Amazon, so that anybody knows what the price is. So, is it worth buying or not? I still have to review my I-cord maker and my electric yarn winder. Just about everybody has a yarn winder. Well, I have a manual, but I got an electric one. Because that'll come in handy when you're pulling something apart. If you have the electric one that could wind it while you're pulling apart. Because I have a couple projects, not the crocodile stitch, that's not getting pulled apart. But I have a couple old projects. It's like, well, I'm not going to waste the yarn. And it's a pain in the ass when you're frogging something, and I've been thinking more and more about looking for some old sweaters, seeing if I could find some nice old sweaters at the thrift store that are in good shape, and doing a tutorial on that. Because that's a great source for nice yarns. When you can find something nice. You know, um, so. But yeah, when you're taking stuff apart like that, it's nice to have a way to wind it up nice. What is your fascination with the door, Nutter? She's just going crazy at the door right now. Is a chipmunk out there? Is that what it is? Yeah, and there's one of the Fiber Fest that I used to teach at. There's a lady has a pretty big space, and she sells the cones of yarn that she does. So she's made a business out of it, but she does it with all natural fibers. She doesn't do it. I don't. Well, you know what? She might have acrylics and stuff that she does it with, but at the Fiber Fest at this Fiber Fest, they only do natural fibers there. So her stand only has natural fibers. So she may do that with others, but I've only seen the yarns that she does that with linen, flax, wools, of course, the alpaca, what else? the real stuff, no acrylic. And yeah, it'd be cool to do that. You know. What are the odds that I'd find something beautiful that I would really like and really like the yarn? I don't think I'd be that lucky, but you know, won't know if I don't look, right? Won't know if I don't go looking. Isn't that right, Rosie? I got woken up this morning by a bird overhead. Yeah, Tech came in here. Well, we've established that I live in an area that gets snow, so we don't have to worry about only finding sweaters in D&K weight. So, okay. See, I was thinking, you know, Florida wouldn't be a good area to get um good sweaters. But yeah, I see what you mean there. Okay, good point. I didn't even think about that. Okay. Well, I gotta not go to I gotta not go to an Amish thrift store. Because they are generally speaking, they are wealthy, but they don't wear a lot of sweaters. Huh. All righty. See? This is why you're invaluable around here. You give great alternative perspectives. I didn't even think about it that way. Huh. Okay. And for those that are just popping in, even though it doesn't look like we have any bush watchers, I am going to put that up on the screen. That is the pattern for the snakehead. Because I am going to say, I'm going to wrap it up because my voice is going in and out. Right. But yeah, and that is not the snakehead that is pictured on the snake that's in the photo on the post. This snakehead is much nicer looking. Just trust me on this. It's a much nicer snakehead. It's a much nicer snakehead. And you'll see it ends with 30 rows. And after that, you just go into 1 row for every day. And you do that to complete your rows for the year. And that's for anybody that wants to do the snake, the temperature snake. And if you have any questions on that, as always, just leave a comment on any of the posts or on this stream, or you could always email me. I gotta make a banner with my email, but my email is on the about page here. So that's easy. That's easy enough to get me there. And that's about it. Again, this is not the pattern for this snakehead. Our snakehead, the snakehead pattern is much prettier. So, and if you want to snap a photo, there is a picture of all of this year's Red Heart yarns, Red Heart Super Saver yarns. You do not need to have every yarn available to get started. You just need the yarns that you need for the current weather that you've already had and you're experiencing now. And you just want to make sure that they have the yarn that you're using and that it will be available. Right now, most of the skeins are running, they're available, they're running less than $4 for a skein. If you have a temperature that you know is pretty consistent in your area, like if you 60 degrees is a very, very common temperature in your area for a lot of the year, whether it's a high temperature or a low temperature for a lot of the year. I would suggest that you get quite a bit of that yarn to start with and have it on hand, because you never know if they're going to run out of that yarn. If you're making the snake, probably not, but if you're making a blanket, you might want to have some of that on hand, but if you live in an area where you don't have weather extremes, but occasionally you might get, like, say you only occasionally get up into the 80s or 90s. Obviously you don't need a ton of that yarn, so you might only need one skein of certain colors. So just keep that in mind when you're figuring out your color schemes. So if you have a color that you really, 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 really don't like all that much, but you think it'll go well in your pattern, that color that you don't like that much, make it one of the color to use for a temperature extreme, one that you won't use that often. And again, you don't have to Roy G. Biv your color chart. Do it all in greens, or all blues, or pinks, or go with all shades of gray if that's your thing. You just want to make sure that all of your yarns are the same weight, because you don't want to go with a thin yarn and go to a thick yarn, because the yarns will get lost in each other. And I haven't mentioned this yet, but I would stick with one stitch. If you're doing a blanket, stick with one stitch throughout. And I would suggest a linen stitch. The stitch is called the linen stitch. And you could Google how to do that, or I can do a quick little tutorial at a later point and show you how to do that. It's a simple stitch. The purpose of the blanket is to showcase the color changes throughout the year. It's not highlighting a stitch. And the linen stitch is a simple stitch. It's not a focal stitch, and it will use the least amount of yarn throughout the project. So, again, the focus of the project is showcasing the temperatures throughout the year, not showcasing a stitch. So, okay, on that note, I just lost me. On that note, I'm going to go ahead and call it. Oh, there we go. So thank you very much for being here. We very much appreciate it. And as always, any questions, concerns, questions, comments, anything, leave it in the comments at the end of the video. And hope you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. Take care. Bye now.